originating outside the country. Plans to build flood control structures in Nepal are yet to progress. Our government, through the Accelerated Irrigation Benefit Program and other sources, will provide financial support for projects with estimated cost of 11,500 crore rupees, such as the Kosi-Michi intra-state link and 20 other ongoing and new schemes, including barrages, river pollution abatement, and irrigation projects. In addition, survey and investigation of Kosi-related flood mitigation and irrigation projects will be undertaken. Assam grapples with floods every year by the Brahmaputra River and its tributaries originating outside India. We will provide assistance to Assam for flood management and related projects. Himachal Pradesh suffered extensive losses due to floods last year. Our government will provide assistance to the state for reconstruction and rehabilitation through multilateral development assistance. Uttarakhand too suffered losses due to cloudbursts and massive landslides. We will provide assistance to the state. Recently, Sikkim witnessed devastating flash floods and landslides that wreaked havoc across the state. Our government will provide assistance to the state. Tourism has always been a part of our civilization. Our efforts in positioning India as a global tourist destination will also create jobs, stimulate investments, and unlock economic opportunities for other sectors. In addition to the measures outlined in the interim budget, I propose the following measures. Vishnupad Temple at Gaya and Mahabodhi Temple at Bodh Gaya in Bihar are of immense spiritual significance. Comprehensive development of Vishnupad Temple Corridor and Mahabodhi Temple Corridor will be supported, modeled on the successful Kashi Vishwanath Temple Corridor to transform them into world-class pilgrim and tourist destinations. Rajgir holds immense religious significance for Hindus, Buddhists, and Jains. The 20th Tirthankara Muniswarata Temple in the Jain temple complex is ancient. The Saptarishi, or the 7 hot springs, form a warm water Brahmkund that is sacred. A comprehensive development initiative for Rajgir will be undertaken. Our government will support the development of Nalanda as a tourist center, besides reviving Nalanda University to its glorious stature. Odisha's scenic beauty, temples, monuments, craftsmanship, wildlife sanctuaries, natural landscapes, and pristine beaches make it an ultimate tourism destination. Our government will provide assistance for their development to Odisha as well. Priority 8, innovation, research, and development. We will operationalize the Anusandhan National Research Fund for basic research and prototype development. Further, we will set up a mechanism for spurring private sector-driven research and innovation at commercial scale, with a financing pool of 1 lakh crore rupees in line with the announcement in the interim budget. Space economy. With our continued emphasis on expanding the space economy by 5 times in the next 10 years, a venture capital fund of 1,000 crore rupees will be set up. Priority 9, next generation reforms. Economic policy framework. We will formulate an economic policy framework to delineate the overarching approach to economic development and set the scope of the next generation of reforms for facilitating employment opportunities and sustaining high growth. Our government will initiate and incentivize reforms for 1. Improving productivity of factors of production, and 2. Facilitating markets and sectors to become more efficient. These reforms will cover all factors of production, namely land, labor, capital, and entrepreneurship, and technology as an enabler of improving total factor productivity and bridging inequality. Effective implementation of several of these reforms requires collaboration between the center and the states, and building consensus as development of the country lies in development of the states. For promoting competitive federalism and incentivizing states for faster implementation of reforms, I propose to earmark a significant part of the 50-year interest-free loan. Working with the states, we will initiate the following reforms. Land-related reforms and actions, both in the rural and urban areas, will cover land administration, will cover 1. Land administration, planning and management, and 2. Urban planning usage and building bylaws. These will be incentivized for completion within the next 3 years through appropriate fiscal support. Rural land-related actions. Rural land-related actions will include 1. Assignment of unique land parcel identification number, UL PIN, or Bhu Aadhaar for all lands. 2. Digitization of cadastral maps. 3. Survey of subdivisions, survey of map subdivisions as per current ownership. 4. Establishment of land registry. And 5. Linking to the farmers registry. These actions will also facilitate credit flow and other agricultural services. Urban land-related actions. Land records in urban areas will be digitized with GIS mapping. An IT-based system for property record administration, updating, and tax administration will be established. These will also facilitate improving the financial position of urban local bodies. Labor-related reforms. Services to labor. Our government will facilitate the provision of a wide array of services to labor, including those for employment and skilling. A comprehensive integration of e-Shram portal with other portals will facilitate such one-stop solution. Open architecture databases for the rapidly changing labor market, skill requirements, and available job roles, and a mechanism to connect job aspirants with potential employers and skill providers will be covered in these services. Shram Suvidha and Samadhan portal. Shram Suvidha and Samadhan portal will be revamped to enhance ease of compliance for industry and trade. Capital and entrepreneurship related reforms, financial sector vision and strategy. For meeting financing needs of the economy, our government will bring out a financial sector vision and strategy document to prepare the sector in terms of size, capacity, and skills. This will set the agenda for the next 5 years and guide the work of the government, regulators, financial institutions, and market participants. Taxonomy for climate finance. We will develop taxonomy for climate finance for enhancing the availability of capital for climate adaptation and mitigation. This will support achievement of the country's climate commitments and green transition. Variable capital company structure. We will seek the required legislative approval for providing an efficient and flexible mode for financing leasing of aircrafts and ships and pooled funds of private equity through a variable company structure. Foreign direct investments and overseas investment. The rules and regulations for foreign direct investment and overseas investments will be simplified to 1. Facilitate foreign direct investments, 2. Nudge prioritization, and 3. Promote opportunities for using Indian rupee as a currency for overseas investment. NPS Vatsalya. NPS Vatsalya, a plan for contribution by parents and guardians for minors, will be started. On attaining the age of majority, the plan can be converted seamlessly into a normal NPS account. Use of technology. We have successfully used technology for improving productivity and bridging inequality in our economy during the past 10 years. Public investment in digital infrastructure and innovations by the private sector have helped in improving access of all citizens, particularly the common people, to market resources, education, health, and services. We will step up adoption of technology towards digitalization of the economy. Ease of doing business. For enhancing ease of doing business, we are already working on the Jan Vishwas Bill 2.0. Further, states will be incentivized for implementation of the business reforms, action plans, and digitalization. Data and statistics. For improving data governance, collection, processing and management of data and statistics, different sectoral databases, including those established under the Digital India Mission, will be utilized with active use of technology tools. New pension scheme. The committee to review the NPS has made considerable progress in its work. I'm happy that the staff side of the National Council of the Joint Consultative Machinery for Central Government Employees has taken a constructive approach. A solution will be evolved which addresses the relevant issues while maintaining fiscal prudence to protect the common citizens. Budget estimates for 24-25. For the year 24-25, total receipts other than borrowings and the total expenditure are estimated at 32.07 lakh crore rupees and 48.21 lakh crore rupees respectively. The net tax receipts are estimated at 25.83 lakh crore rupees. The fiscal deficit is estimated at 4.9% of the GDP. The gross and the net market borrowings through dated securities during 24-25 are estimated at 14.01 lakh crore rupees and 11.63 lakh crore rupees respectively. Both will be less than that in 23-24. The fiscal consolidation path announced by me in 2021 has served our economy very well, and we aim to reach the deficit below 4.5% next year. The government is committed to staying the course From 2026-27 onwards, our endeavor will be to keep the fiscal deficit each year such that the central government's debt will be on a declining path as percentage of GDP. I will now move to Part B. Indirect taxes. Sir, I start with GST. It has decreased tax incidence on the common man, reduced compliance burden and logistics cost for trade and industry, and enhanced revenues of the central and the state governments. It is a success of vast proportions. To multiply the benefits of GST, we will strive to further simplify and rationalize the tax structure and endeavor to expand it to the remaining sectors. My proposals for customs duties intend to support domestic manufacturing, deepen local value addition, promote export competitiveness, and simplify taxation while keeping the interest of the general public and consumers surmount. In Budget 22-23, we reduced the number of customs duty rates. I propose to undertake a comprehensive review of the rate structure over the next 6 months to rationalize and simplify it for ease of trade, removal of duty inversion, and reduction of disputes. I shall now take up sector-specific customs duty proposals. Medicine and medical equipments. To provide relief to cancer patients, I propose to fully exempt 3 more medicines from customs duties. I also propose changes in the BCD on X-ray tubes and flat panel detectors for use in medical X-ray machines under the phased manufacturing program so as to synchronize them with the domestic capacity addition. Mobile phone and related parts. With a 3-fold increase in domestic production and almost a 100-fold jump in exports of mobile phones over the last 6 years, the Indian mobile industry has matured. In the interest of consumers, I now propose to reduce the BCD on mobile phone, mobile PCBA, and mobile charger to 15%. Critical minerals. Minerals such as lithium, copper, cobalt, and rare earth elements are critical for sectors like nuclear energy, renewable energy, space, defense, telecommunications, and high-tech electronics. I propose to fully exempt customs duties on 25 critical minerals and reduce BCD on 2 of them. This will provide a major fillip to the processing and refining of such minerals and help secure their availability for these strategic and important sectors. Solar energy. Energy transition is critical in the fight against climate change. To support energy transition, I propose to expand the list of exempted capital goods for use in the manufacture of solar cells and panels in the country. Further, in view of sufficient domestic manufacturing capacity of solar gas, glass, and tinned copper interconnect, I propose not to extend the exemption of custom duties provided to them. Marine products. India's seafood exports in the last financial year touched an all-time high of more than 60,000 crores of rupees. Frozen shrimp accounted for about 2/3 of these exports. To enhance their competitiveness, I propose to reduce BCD on certain broodstock, polychaete worms, shrimp, and fish feed to 5%. I also propose to exempt customs duty on various inputs for manufacture of shrimp and fish feed. leather and textile. Similarly, to enhance the competitiveness of exports in the leather and textile sectors, I propose to reduce BCD on real down-filling material from duck or goose. I am also making additions to the list of exempted goods for manufacture of leather and textile garments, footwear, and other leather articles for export. To rectify inversion in duty, I propose to reduce BCD subject to conditions on methylene diphenyl diisocyanate MDI for manufacture of spandex yarn from 7.5 to 5%. Furthermore, the export duty structure on raw hides, skin, and leather is proposed to be simplified and rationalized. Precious metals. To enhance domestic value addition in gold and precious metal jewelry in the country, I propose to reduce customs duties on gold and silver to 6% and that of platinum to 6.4%. Other metals, steel and copper, are important raw materials. To reduce their cost of production, I propose to remove the BCD on ferronickel and blister copper. I am also continuing with nil BCD on ferrous scrap and nickel cathode and concessional BCD of 2.5% on copper scrap. Electronics. To increase value addition in the domestic electronics industry, I propose to remove the BCD subject to conditions on oxygen-free copper for manufacture of resistors. I also propose to exempt certain parts for manufacture of connectors. Chemicals and petrochemicals. To support existing and new capacities in the pipeline, I propose to increase the BCD on ammonium nitrate from 7.5% to 10%. Plastics. PVC flex banners are non-biodegradable and hazardous for environment and health. To curb their imports, I propose to raise the BCD on them from 10 to 25%. Telecommunication equipment. To incentivize domestic manufacturing, I propose to increase the BCD from 10 to 15% on PCBA of specified telecom equipment. Trade facilitation. To promote domestic aviation and boat and ship MRO, I propose to extend the period for export of goods imported for repairs from 6 months to 1 year. I'll read that again. To promote domestic aviation and boat and ship maintenance, repair and operations, I propose to extend the period for export of goods imported for repairs from 6 months to 1 year. In the same vein, I propose to extend the time limit for re-import of goods for repairs under warranty from 3 to 5 years. I now move to direct taxes. We will continue our efforts to simplify taxes, improve taxpayer services, provide tax certainty, and reduce litigation while enhancing revenues for funding the development and welfare schemes of the government. It has been our endeavor to simplify taxation. We have taken a number of measures in the last few years, including introduction of simplified tax regimes without exemptions and deductions for corporate tax and for personal income tax. This has been appreciated by taxpayers. 58% of corporate tax came from the simplified tax regime in the financial year 22-23. Similarly, as per data available till now, for the last fiscal, more than 2/3 have availed the new personal income tax regime. Comprehensive review of the Income Tax Act. I am now announcing a comprehensive review of the Income Tax Act 1961. The purpose is to make the Act concise, lucid, easy to read and understand. This will reduce disputes and litigation, thereby providing tax certainty to the taxpayers. I will also bring down the demand embroiled in litigation. It is proposed to be completed in 6 months. A beginning is being made in the Finance Bill by simplifying the tax regime for charities, tedious rate structures, provisions of reassessment and search provisions, and capital gains taxation. Simplification for charities and tedious. Two tax exemption regimes. The two tax exemption regimes for charities are proposed to be merged into one. The 5% TDS rate on many payments is being merged into the 2% TDS rate, and the 20% TDS rate on repurchase of units by mutual funds or UTI is being withdrawn. TDS rate on e-commerce operators is proposed to be reduced from 1 to 0.1%. Moreover, credit of TCS is proposed to be given in the TDS to be deducted on salary. Further, I propose to decriminalize delay for payment of TDS up to the due date of filing statement for the same. I also plan to provide a standard operating procedure for TDS defaults and simplify and rationalize the compounding guidelines for such defaults. Simplification of reassessment. I propose to thoroughly simplify the provisions for reopening and reassessment. An assessment hereinafter can be reopened beyond 3 years from the end of the assessment year only if the escaped income is 50 lakh rupees or more, up to a maximum period of 5 years from the end of the assessment year. Even in such cases, a time limit of 6 years before the year of the search, as against the existing time limit of 10 years, is being proposed. This will reduce tax uncertainty and disputes. Simplification and rationalization of capital gains. Capital gains taxation is also proposed to be hugely simplified. Short-term gains on certain financial assets shall henceforth attract a tax rate of 20%, while that on all other financial assets and all non-financial assets shall continue to attract the applicable tax rate. Long-term gains on all financial and non-financial assets, on the other hand, will attract a tax rate of 12.5%. For the benefit of the lower and the middle income classes, I propose to increase the limit of exemption of capital gains on certain financial assets to 1.25 lakh rupees per year. Listed financial assets held for more than a year will be classified as long-term, while unlisted financial assets and all non-financial assets will have to be held for at least 2 years to be classified as long-term. Unlisted bonds and debentures, debt mutual funds, and market-linked debentures, irrespective of holding period, however, will attract tax on capital gains at applicable rates. Taxpayer services. All the major taxpayer services under GST and most services under customs and income tax have been digitalized. All remaining services of customs and income tax, including rectification and order giving effect to appellate orders, shall be digitalized and made paperless over the next 2 years. Litigation and appeals. While our concerted efforts to reduce pendency of appeals at various appellate fora are beginning to show good results, it will continue to engage our highest attention. To dispose of the backlog of first appeals, I plan to deploy more officers to hear and decide such appeals, especially those with large tax effect. For resolution of certain income tax disputes pending in appeal, I am also proposing Vivad Se Vishwas Scheme 2024. Further, I propose to increase monetary limits for filing appeals related to direct taxes, excise, and service tax in the tax tribunals, high courts, and Supreme Court to 60 lakh rupees, 2 crore rupees, and 5 crore respectively, with a view to reduce litigation and provide certainty in international taxation. We will expand the scope of safe harbor rules and make them more attractive. We will also streamline the transfer pricing assessment procedure. Employment and investment. I have a few proposals to promote investment and foster employment. First of all, to bolster the Indian startup ecosystem, boost the entrepreneurial spirit, and to support innovation, I propose to abolish the so-called angel tax for all classes of investors. Second, there is tremendous potential for cruise tourism in India. To give a fillip to this employment-generating industry, I am proposing a simpler tax regime for foreign shipping companies operating domestic cruises in the country. Third, India is a world leader in the diamond cutting and polishing industry, which employs a large number of skilled workers. To further promote the development of this sector, we would provide for safe harbor rates for foreign mining companies selling raw diamonds in the country. Fourth, to attract foreign capital for our development needs, I propose to reduce the corporate tax rate on foreign companies from 40 to 35%. Deepening the tax base. I have a couple of proposals for deepening the tax base. First, security transaction tax on futures and options of securities is proposed to be increased to 0.02% and 0.1% respectively. Second, for reasons of equity, I propose to tax income received on buyback of shares in the hands of recipients. Other proposals: to improve social security benefits, deduction of expenditure by employers towards NPS is proposed to be increased from 10 to 14% of the employee's salary. Similarly, deduction of this expenditure up to 14% of salary from the income of employees in private sector, public sector banks, and undertakings opting for the new tax regime is proposed to be provided. Indian professionals working in multinationals get ESOPs and invest in social security schemes and other movable assets abroad. Non-reporting of such small foreign assets has penal consequences under the Black Money Act. Such non-reporting of movable assets up to 20 lakh rupees is proposed to be depenalized. Other major proposals in the finance bill relate to withdrawal of equalization levy of 2%, expansion of tax benefits to certain funds and entities in IFSCs, and immunity from penalty and prosecution to Benamidar on full and true disclosure so as to improve conviction under the Benami Transaction Prohibition Act 1988. Personal income tax. Coming to personal income tax rates, I have two announcements to make for those opting for the new tax regime. First, the standard deduction for salaried employees is proposed to be increased from 50,000 to 75,000 rupees. Similarly, Deduction on family pension for pensioners is proposed to be enhanced from 15,000 to 25,000 rupees. This will provide relief to about 4 crore salaried individuals and pensioners. Second, in the new tax regime, the tax rate structure is proposed to be revised as follows: 0 to 3 lakh rupees, nil; 3 to 7 lakh rupees, 5%; 7 to 10 lakh rupees, 10%; 10 to 12 lakh rupees, 15%; 12 to 15 lakh rupees, 20%; and above 15 lakh rupees, 30%. As a result of these changes, a salaried employee in the new tax regime stands to save up to 17,500 rupees in income tax. Apart from these, I am also making some other changes as given in the annexure. As a result of these proposals, revenue of about 37,000 crore, that is 29,000 crore in direct taxes and 8,000 crore in indirect taxes, will be foregone, while revenue of about 30,000 crore rupees will be additionally mobilized. Thus, the total revenue foregone is about 7,000 crores annually. Mr. Speaker, sir, with this, I commend the budget to this august House. Jai Hind.
Item number 2. Item number 2.
Sir, with your permission, I rise to lay on the table the following statements under Section 3 of the Fiscal Responsibility and Budget Management, FRBM Act 2003, Medium-Term Fiscal Policy cum Fiscal Policy Strategy Statement, and Macroeconomic Framework Statement.
Item number 3.
Sir, with your permission, I rise to move for leave to introduce the Finance Number 2 Bill 2024.
प्रश्न ये कि विधेयक को पुनर्स्थापित करने की अनुमति प्रदान की जाए। जो सदस्य इसके पक्ष में हाँ कहें, जो सदस्य विरोध में ना कहें। मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में अनुमति प्रदान की जाती है। माननीय मंत्री जी, अब विधेयक पुनर्स्थापित करें।
Sir, I introduce the bill.
Item number 4.
The Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir budget. Sir, I rise to present a statement, Hindi and English versions, of the estimated receipts and expenditure of the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir for the year 24-25.
सभा की कार्रवाई कल बुधवार दिनांक 24 जुलाई 2024 को प्राप्त 11 बजे तक के लिए स्थगित की जाती है।
नमस्कार, एक बार फिर से स्वागत है आप सभी का संसद टीवी पर। आप लगातार देख रहे हैं बजट से जुड़ी खास कवरेज और वित्त मंत्री निर्मला सीतारमण ने आज वित्त वर्ष 2024-25 का पूर्ण बजट लोकसभा में पेश कर दिया है और ये वित्त मंत्री निर्मला सीतारमण का 7वां और मोदी सरकार के तीसरे कार्यकाल का पहला बजट आज हम सबके सामने आ गया है।
जी हाँ, जैसा कि हम कह रहे थे कि ये बजट विकसित भारत का बजट होगा। मोदी सरकार के इस बजट में वित्त मंत्री निर्मला सीतारमण ने कई बड़े ऐलान किए हैं। उन्होंने बजट में युवाओं के कौशल विकास, शिक्षा, कृषि और रोजगार सृजन जैसे क्षेत्रों पर विशेष ध्यान दिया है।
वित्त मंत्री ने देश के पूर्वी राज्यों को देश की आर्थिक वृद्धि का इंजन बनाने के लिए विशेष योजनाओं का भी ऐलान किया और लोकसभा पहुंची वित्त मंत्री ने 11 बजे अपने बजट भाषण की शुरुआत की। क्या बड़ी बातें रही हैं, लगातार हम इसका विश्लेषण करेंगे और जो मुख्य बातें हैं उसमें 2 लाख करोड़ रुपए के प्रावधान के साथ युवाओं पर अच्छा खासा फोकस है। उनके लिए 5 स्कीम है जिनका जिक्र किया गया है और इससे 5 करोड़ से ज्यादा युवाओं को सीधा फायदा होगा और जो रोजगार सृजन है उसको प्रोत्साहन देने के लिए भी 3 स्कीम की घोषणा की गई है।
जी हाँ, और कृषि से जुड़ी हुई भी बड़ी बातें की गई हैं बजट में। कृषि सेक्टर के लिए 1.52 लाख करोड़ रुपए का प्रावधान रखा गया है। एनर्जी सिक्योरिटी पर सरकार का फोकस रहा है। रोजगार बढ़ाने पर सरकार ने फोकस किया है और रोजगार बढ़ाने के लिए तमाम नई और बड़ी घोषणाएं की गई हैं।
तो स्पीच की जो हाइलाइट्स रही हैं वो आप देख पा रहे हैं। 32 फसलों के लिए 109 किस्म लॉन्च की जाएंगी और कृषि सेक्टर का विकास पहली प्राथमिकता है। इस बात पर जोर दिया है वित्त मंत्री निर्मला सीतारमण ने। युवाओं पर फोकस है, 2 लाख करोड़ रुपए का प्रावधान इसके लिए किया गया है। खास तौर से रोजगार और स्किल डेवलपमेंट पर फोकस किया गया है और शुरुआत में ही स्किलिंग को लेकर, रोजगार को लेकर, युवाओं को लेकर बजट भाषण की शुरुआत हुई थी। गरीबों पर इसका फोकस है, ग्रामीण इलाकों पर बजट को फोकस किया गया है और पहली बार जो नौकरी वाले व्यक्ति होंगे, जो युवा होंगे, उन्हें अतिरिक्त पीएफ मिलेगा और 5 साल में 4 करोड़ युवाओं को रोजगार देने का लक्ष्य रखा गया है।
शिक्षा की बात करें तो रोजगार और कौशल के लिए 1.48 लाख करोड़ रुपए का प्रावधान रखा गया है। बिहार में 3 एक्सप्रेसवे बनाने के लिए फंड जारी किया जाएगा। पटना पूर्णिया एक्सप्रेसवे तैयार किया जाएगा। बड़ी घोषणाएं बिहार के लिए, उड़ीसा के लिए और आंध्र प्रदेश के लिए की गई है। इस बजट में उच्च शिक्षा की बात करें तो उसके लिए भी प्रावधान रखा गया है। SC, ST और OBC समाज के कल्याण के लिए ये बजट बहुत ही खास रहा है। 10,000 बायोफ्यूल प्लांट भी लगाए जाएंगे, इसका प्रावधान रखा गया है। रोजगार और स्किल के लिए 3 नई योजनाएं सामने लाई गई हैं। पहली, नौकरी के लिए 1 महीने का भत्ता मिलेगा। ये पहली बार हो रहा है भारत में कि किसी नौकरी के लिए पहली बार नौकरी करने पर भत्ता भी दिया जाएगा।
तो तमाम बड़ी बातें लगातार आप टीवी स्क्रीन पर देख पा रहे हैं। हमारे साथ खास मेहमान भी जुड़े हुए हैं। आनंद सिंह बहल जी जुड़े हुए हैं हमारे साथ, जो कि फॉर्मर प्रिंसिपल इकोनॉमिक एडवाइज़र हैं। आपका बहुत बहुत स्वागत है आनंद सिंह जी। बजट पर पहला रिएक्शन आपका, क्या कहेंगे?
ये बजट मोदी सरकार 3.0 का पहला बजट है एंड जैसा कि हमें अनएक्सपेक्टेड लाइंस था, ये बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण बजट है। जो उन्होंने इंटरिम बजट में ब्रॉड दायरा रखा था उसको कंसोलिडेट किया है एंड जो देश के सामने बड़ी बड़ी मुद्दे हैं, सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट एम्प्लॉयमेंट, एग्रीकल्चर, MSME सेक्टर, अलॉन्ग एक्सपेक्टेड लाइंस, उस पर सरकार ने काफ़ी जोर दिया है एंड इस पे भारत की इकॉनमी पे इसका बहुत ही अच्छा असर पड़ेगा और जो हमारी इकॉनमी पूरे देश विदेश में इतना अच्छा काम कर रही है, इतना रेजिलियंस कर रही है, उन सब चीज़ों को देखते हुए ये भारत सरकार ने बहुत ही अच्छा बोल्ड बजट पेश किया है एंड इससे हमारे GDP ग्रोथ पे, हमारे इंक्लूसिव ग्रोथ पे बहुत ही अच्छा असर पड़ेगा।
खाली रोजगारी नहीं, हम देख रहे हैं कि युवाओं की शिक्षा, उच्च शिक्षा पर भी खासा जोर दिया गया है। अगर बात करें तो बजट में युवाओं के लिए 2 लाख करोड़ का प्रावधान रखा गया है, जिसमें शिक्षा, रोजगार, कौशल